guys, it's Cayley. I'm back with another What Sold video. In today's video, I'll be going over all of my sales from the previous week on two platforms that I sell on, eBay and Poshmark. We'll go over a breakdown of the numbers, how much it cost me to purchase those items, as well as fees and shipping. And we'll do a deep dive into a handful of items, why I picked them up, why I think they sold for how much they did, and that way you know what you can look for at your local thrift store to flip online for a profit. If you're interested in this kind of content, I do make What Sold videos pretty much every week, and if you look back over the past few weeks, my numbers are pretty much the same every single week. I get a lot of questions as to how I make the same sales every week, and the answer is I list the same amount of items every single day. So if you want to achieve consistent numbers within your store, make sure to list the same number of items every single day. And if you're not already and you want tips on how to find those items that are going to sell quickly, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below. All right, let's dive into the sales. All right, so all the sales that you see here on this screen happened between February 27th through March 5th. That is a Sunday through a Saturday, and that is how I calculate my weeks. In total, I sold on two platforms, eBay and Poshmark. Total number of items sold was 116 items. Gross sales was $3,732.58, making my average sale price $32.18. This is pretty low for me, but I'm still happy with my overall gross sales. So we sold more items, but for less. Estimated cost of goods based on average buy cost was $464. My estimated net based on the gross sales less the cost of goods, the fees, and the shipping costs was $2,293.30. On eBay, we sold 65 items. On Poshmark, we sold 51. These two have been pretty neck and neck lately, which I thought is pretty cool. If you're not already cross-posting, or if you are but you're not already using List Perfectly, it is an amazing extension that I use to move from one platform to another and have both of the platforms listing the same items. That way I get more eyes on my items, which means more sales. So if you're thinking about List Perfectly, I do have some videos on that I can link above and below in the description, as well as a coupon code and an exclusive link down below if you would like to sign up. They also have a short trial period if you want to do that as well. Again, all that information is down below, but this is what has really increased my sales and added another platform that brings an additional source of income for me. Gross sales on eBay were just over $2,100, and then on Poshmark they were just over $1,500. So great sales all around, and like I said, these two have been pretty neck and neck as I've gotten all of my items on both platforms. We're going to start with some sales from eBay. This first one is a men's brand. I know you guys have heard me talk a lot about men's brands lately. It's because we are focusing on the men's department. It tends to have a higher sell-through rate, and just in general, it's easier for us to source because we can really take the emotions out of it. So this is a men's brand that I love picking up. It is FootJoy. Most of the time you're just going to see an FJ on the tag. It is a golf brand. They do make women's items, but I will say the men's perform significantly better. What you want to look for in this brand is that there isn't a company embroidery on it, because that tends to happen. This one was a little bit more of a substantial piece. It was a zip pullover. You can see that it did have wool, and it was also argyle, which is that diamond print right there. I've noticed anything with this diamond print since the grandma core and grandpa core trend has come about. Anything with this has been really popular. We paid $4.69 for this at a thrift store. It sold on an offer for $53.93. Next up is something I don't typically show, which is something other than clothing. I almost said hard goods, but this is technically still a soft good. But I do like selling blankets occasionally. I don't tend to go to the blanket section, but if something catches my eye, I will look it up. This brand is Beaterlack, and I would become familiar with this brand. They sell a lot of vintage blankets that are pretty valuable. Typically you want to look for the Western ones or the ones with animals on them. This one was kind of more plain, but what I like about Beaterlack is you can pretty easily look up which blanket it is and figure out if it's worth it or not. Picked this one up because it was a Western look and it was vintage. I paid $2.50 for it. It sold for $36.95. This is a North Face men's pair of like ski pants. They were the line High Vent, and these were in really great condition. I actually paid up quite a bit for these just about a week ago, and they sold extremely quickly. The reason I let them go so quickly on an offer was because I realized that we are moving into warmer weather, and I probably shouldn't have picked these up based on the fact that we are moving out of ski season. So I originally paid $25 for these. They had really good comps for about $75, but when I received an offer for $53.94, I went ahead and accepted, which was 10% off of my asking price. And again, when I realized that we were moving out of the colder weather season, I priced a little lower in general just to get this item moving. And that's a strategy I have, and we're also working on not picking up as much colder weather items, but $25 into almost $54, pretty good return on investment. I definitely made some money, but in general, I'd say to keep your eye out for, I guess, pitfalls like that. Be careful about how much you're paying up for an item. Just really consider the season. Next up is one of my favorite brands to sell. It is a line from Ralph Lauren. It is Denim and Supply by Ralph Lauren. This is probably, in my opinion, the most profitable one to sell. Sorry, I don't have a picture of the tag here for you, but you'll just want to look for Denim and Supply by Ralph Lauren. These are a more unique pair of men's jeans, and men's stuff in this brand does extremely well. I was able to figure out that these plaid kind of jeans were very rare, and so I priced really high and accepted offers. I paid $4.99 for this, and someone sent us an offer for $80 on these, which we accepted. Another line from Polo Ralph Lauren, I actually got this from ThreadUp. It was new with tags and men's size XXL. It was actually listed in the women's category, but I could tell that it was men's. Anything with a flag or a skier or really any kind of graphic by Polo Ralph Lauren when it comes to vintage sweaters performs really well. I listed high again and accepted offers, so I paid $29.87 in total from ThreadUp, and it ended up selling on an offer for $90, so almost $30 into $90, pretty good return on investment. Next up is a vintage shirt that I found at the bins. When we found this, it actually had significant staining. I had to soak it, and even still, there was a little bit of marks on it, and it also had kind of a slash in the neck. The reason I took a chance on picking this up was because it had a really, really cool graphic. It kind of gave me NASCAR vibes, even though it was a Hillbilly 100 race, and it was a larger size and a single stitch. So for all of those reasons, I took a chance on it. Again, we picked it up at the bin, so we probably paid about $1 for it. It did sell relatively quickly for an offer of $40.38. If you got something you just have a gut feeling about as far as vintage graphic t-shirts go, I go ahead and take a chance on it and pick it up. This is a brand I absolutely recommend picking up in the women's department. It is Spanx. You typically want to look for them in the leggings department. These were really great because they were kind of a jigging pant, and they were a size extra large. Larger sizes in this brand tend to perform better. We found this at the bins, so we only paid a couple bucks for it, and it sold pretty quickly on an offer for $35.89. This was another bins find. This is a men's item in the brand Vince. We actually come across this brand pretty often, but we do not pick it up typically unless it is a good material or if it's in the men's department. In this case, it was both 100% linen and in the men's department, and shorts moving into warmer weather. Definitely a great pickup. So paid a couple bucks for that at the bins. It did sell for full asking price of $29.89. This is something we're definitely looking for right now as we move into warmer weather, and it is the brand Lulu's. Absolutely do not pick up everything in this brand. What we tend to look for are the more substantial dresses, meaning that they are longer length, they're a midi or a maxi, or they are longer sleeve. This one was a really nice kind of formal evening gown maxi dress, and we accepted an offer of $35 for this. We originally paid $5.98. This is the brand Buffalo by David Benton, and their jeans, depending on the style, can perform well in the men's department. This is the style Driven Basic. I try to look for the things that look more modern in this brand, and they perform well for me. I paid $6.99 for these, and they sold on an offer for $26.93. Here is a women's jeans brand that I'm a little bit more hesitant on lately. They used to sell for a ton, but they no longer do, and it is Madewell. Because they don't have as good of a sell-through rate or sell for as much as they used to, what I tend to do is look for the larger sizes. This was a size 31, and then I price a little lower to get it moving. I paid $4.39 for this, and it sold on an offer for $26.92. And as you can see, it did have slight puckering, which we made sure to note. Another dress brand we really like picking up during this time of the year, it is Bowden, and I pretty much pick up all dresses in Bowden. They tend to sell for at least $25 for me as long as they are in good condition, but the more substantial pieces or the more unique pieces definitely do better. This one we paid $4.99 for, and it sold on an offer of $30. This is another men's brand that we love selling. I pretty much pick up everything in this brand if it's in good condition. This is the brand John Varvatos. And if you have something more substantial, for instance, this is a Henley shirt in their Luxe category, which helped to up the value. You can really sell this brand if it's like linen or wool or something like that for significant amounts of money, but even their basics like this do really well. We paid only $2.99 for this. I don't find that thrift stores know about this brand, so we paid $2.99. It sold on an offer for $31.43. Next up is a brand we just learned about in the athletic wear category. It's called Constantly Varied Gear. Sometimes it just says CVG, so you want to look for both. But after I looked up this brand, I saw it had a really great sell-through rate and sells for a decent amount of money. I paid $4.50 for this at a thrift store, and it did sell for a full asking price of $29.93. This is a shapewear brand that we found at the bins. It is Skims. I believe this is a Kardashian line, and if you see it, I would look into it. It's super popular. We did not pay much for this. Again, got it at the bins. Probably paid less than $1 because it's super lightweight. One of the main reasons I picked this up was because it was plus size. You can see it's 2X to a 3X, and it's just kind of a seamless short shapewear. It sold for a full asking price of $29.92. These next two both sold on the same order to the same buyer, and the brand is Frank and Eileen. This is a pretty substantial tag, so I think it would be hard to miss, but I just started learning about this brand. They make both men's and women's shirts, and they have a pretty good following. Here is the other one. So these both sold to the same buyer. We paid $4.39 for each, and they sold in a bundle essentially for a total of $53.84. So about $26 for each of those. During this time of the year, we like to look for athletic wear dresses. So any kind of athletic wear brand that you would typically pick up in leggings, we also look for that in dresses. Obviously do your comps, but they tend to perform pretty well. This is like a dress swim cover-up by the brand Athleta. We picked this up at the bins, and it sold for a full asking price of $24.98. Here's another men's brand that I pick up almost everything in. It is Carbon to Cobalt. This is a cotton cashmere shirt. We probably should have put that in the title, but it's still sold. Paid $4.69 for this. It sold on offer for $26.92. If you come in something more substantial like a jacket in this brand, they can do really, really good. And these next two sold to different buyers, but they are the same brand. It is the brand Affliction. Kind of along the same lines as Madewell. I will still get them, but knowing that their sell-through rate isn't always there, I price them a little lower, and they move extremely well for me. This is a men's size large graphic t-shirt. I picked this up for $1.99. It sold for full asking price of $24.92. And then I picked this women's Affliction shirt up at the bins. We listed it for $19.87, and it also sold for full asking price. Moving on to some Poshmark sales, we sold this J. Crew New with Tags leopard midi skirt. We do not always pick up J. Crew. I actually come across it quite a bit, but we try to stick to the more modern pieces. This one was new with tags. It was a size 8. And it was a longer length skirt. In general, I don't like picking up skirts, but this had a lot of factors stacking on top of each other that told me it would do well. Paid $4.99 for it, and it sold for $38. Here's another men's brand we pretty much pick up in everything when it's in good condition. The brand is Travis Matthew. These are just a pair of men's shorts, khaki shorts. They sold for $25 and we picked these up at the bins. I keep bringing this brand up because it seems to have a resurgence. It is Abercrombie & Fitch, and so if I see anything that seems more substantial in this brand, I tend to pick it up. I come across this brand a lot, but rarely do I pick it up. This one kind of stood out to me because it was a unique tote bag that I thought, even though we listed it as women's, could also be a men's tote bag. I paid $4.39 for this, and it sold for $29. Here's that brand FootJoy again. Again, sometimes it'll just say FJ on it. Men's golf brand. And we like picking up the polos. They typically sell for about $25 unless they're super substantial. Then they might sell for more. This one we paid $2.99 for and it sold for $25. I paid $4.99 for these Guess jeans. These are actually a pair of vintage Guess jeans. Here's what I'll tell you about these. They don't typically sell very quickly, but if you find this exact style with this question mark patch, this is what really matters, is the question mark patch on it. They do, even though they eventually sell, and they sell for pretty good money. I paid $4.99 for these and they sold for $59. I have sold ones in the past that have sold for $80. Again, I was sitting on them, but they end up selling eventually. Next is a pair of Hey Dudes. If you guys are familiar with this brand, it is extremely popular right now. I'm seeing them in all the shoe stores. And I was lucky enough to find a pair of men's Hey Dudes in a thrift store. And the thrift stores knew about this brand because they priced them up for $6.99. Typically shoes are $4.99 at our thrift store, but my thrift store priced these for $6.99. So I do think that thrift stores know about this brand. One good thing about this brand is on the inside, it has all of the information and you can actually see the style name as well. So it makes it pretty easy to look up, but they have an incredible sell-through rate and they're really easy to ship. So I paid up for these knowing that they would sell super quickly. I paid $6.99 and they sold very quickly for $34. This is the brand Cool, which is an outdoorsy brand. I highly recommend that you pick up this summer. And here's what the tag looks like. You might not always see the spell out, but you'll definitely see this logo right here. This is just a women's long sleeve flannel shirt, and I paid $4.29 for this. It sold for $29. Here's that brand Travis Matthew again. This is a more substantial piece than those shorts. It is a zip pullover, size extra large, so it tends to sell for more whenever it is a larger size. We picked these up at the bin, so probably picked this up for a couple of bucks, and it sold for an offer of $40. Next up is this LL Bean jacket we paid $6.99 for. Anytime you come across anything Western in a substantial piece or Aztec, I always look it up. This was a women's trench coat, size extra large with that Southwestern blanket lining. And whenever we have something like this, we always take a cover photo where the inside lining is showing to make sure that the buyer knows that's why it's substantial. This sold pretty quickly on an offer for $80. Next up are these No Bull leggings. We mentioned these in another video, but we came across a handful of these at one thrift store. These are really good in athletic wear as well as shoes, so if you come across them, I definitely recommend picking them up, and they've all been selling pretty quickly for us. We paid $2.99 for this, and it sold for $40. This is a pair of Corral boots we picked up at a thrift store. I actually paid up for these because this brand tends to perform pretty well, and I thought it was a really on-trend piece. We paid $15 for these, and it sold for $50. And lastly is another pair of those Torrid boots. We also picked up a handful of these at the same thrift store. Any kind of Torrid boots, even though they're faux leather, seem to perform pretty well, so we continue picking them up. We paid $4.99 for these, and they sold for $50. Alright guys, that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. Again, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell down below. That way you'll get notified by YouTube every time I post new content. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.